Howdy-ho, Andrew here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to my Friday React video. So, we're gonna go into the world of Spartacus. New upcoming show, House of Ashur. I've not heard good things about it. I'm gonna be very transparent and upfront. I've not heard good things about it, which kind of makes sense as Ashur got beheaded in the first series. So, this is really a retelling of something that probably didn't need to be made to begin with. Now, just so you know, I love the first series of Spartacus. Absolutely adored it. It was a shame that Andy died and they had to recast, but I thought the guy they recast, I forget his name now, I thought he did an admirable job for Liam something. I thought he did an admirable job in the role. You know, Andy was so beloved that it was kind of like another Liam trying to take over for Henry Cavill. It's like Andy made it his role, Henry made Geralt his role. So neither of the two Liams really stood a chance at living up to the standard that had been made prior. So, but saying that, I thoroughly enjoyed Spartacus, the entire series. And yeah, I just thought it was a fantastic show. And I thought it was done. And then I heard Spartacus, House of Ashur. Okay, Ashur's dead, but let's see what they do about it. Now, I like Nick Tabary as an actor. I liked him in Spartacus as Ashur. I liked him in The Expanse in that role. I liked him. I recently saw an episode of NCIS LA where he was playing a bad guy in that, and I think he's a fantastic actor. But there was a lot of warning bells going on about this series. Basically, the language they were throwing out. Like, first off, this girl right here doesn't exist in history. Plain and simple. There was no such thing as a female gladiator in Roman times. What they had, it was like lingerie boxing is what they had. They would put two girls out in skimpy clothes and they weren't trained or anything. They didn't know how to handle a sword. They weren't like the gladiators who trained. Like, they were literally out there for TNA and one of them died. And this was entertainment to the masses. So the show is instantly trying to rewrite history by not only putting a female gladiator out who's more powerful than all the men, but and I hate to bring it up, but also a black gladiator that, it didn't exist in Roman times. Like, there was black gladiators because they were slaves, but the black females they're not high in demand if you look into Roman history. So, so they're taking a lot of leeway in the storytelling. And then the creator comes out and he's like, well, woke this. And he's arguing with people online. And it's like, when you're insulting your fans and you're arguing with your fans, that never works out for a show. So I really don't know what he was thinking. But hey, let's give it a chance. Maybe we'll watch this video from Desparo, and he's out of the UK, and we'll see what he has to say on the video, and I'll jump in when needed, and yeah, so let's see what we got.
But I think the fans will really enjoy seeing a strong, powerful female.
Behold! A sight never before witnessed in the arena. Because she'd be dead instantaneously. Welcome to Spartacus, a show that used to be about men, merkins, and combat. I ran out of M's. The original Spartacus was a great show that had the perfect mix between the more animalistic side of entertainment and genuinely interesting political intrigue. It's a fine line to walk, and while Game of Thrones is always known for dropping exposition in interesting circumstances, I think Spartacus did it far better.
I agree. Spartacus was a very adult show. It had a lot of violence, it had a lot of nudity, it had a lot of mature content, but what it had above all else was interesting characters. An interesting story. Like, if you've done any bit on Roman history, you know who Spartacus was. He was a Thracian. He led a revolt and blah, 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 blah. Like, this is all history. But you really didn't know much about him in the gladiatorial time, and that's what the TV show was based on. And it was interesting. and it wasn't all brotherhood, even though they use that term, the brotherhood, a lot. There was a lot of inner fighting between the gladiators for position, for honor, it was a very interesting and isolated culture. And it does seem like this show has just basically tossed that out the window.
Now, the House of Ashur is a sequel to Spartacus, except it's got one problem. That guy's dead.
One of the reasons I really wanted to do the show, the what if Ashur hadn't got his head chopped off on Vesuvius.
This series, then, is set in an alternate timeline, where all of the events of the first series happened, except him. He no longer loses his head, and we see what would have happened if he'd survived, which apparently is this.
And you know what? I'm okay with the alternate timeline of had Ashur survived, because Ashur is a phenomenal character. And I hate to say it, I'm not okay with this. Like, if they had put Ash, just gone back to like in the first series, Ashur was being promised the ludus if they killed Spartacus. So if you go to an alternate timeline where Ashur doesn't get beheaded and Spartacus is killed and Ashur takes over the ludus from Borearty, I'm fine with that, as long as you continue in the Roman setting with the Roman history. Because the one thing Spartacus did really, really well was they captured the Roman culture. As flawed as it was, and it was flawed, a very misogynistic society. Women were not viewed as women. They were viewed as things for the most part, unless they were upper crust, the nobility. But for the most part, women were just disposable little sex toys and baby makers. And that's what they were in Roman culture. And I'm not saying that was right. I'm just saying that's what it was. So this girl here does not exist in Roman history, period. This is like Ubisoft trying to create a Black Samurai. It didn't exist. The character that they're basing it on did exist. He was a slave. He was never trained as a samurai. He never got into any notable fights or anything. This is progressive, pushing a 2025, 2026 progressive alt-left ideology to rewrite history. That's what this is.
Now, the show defends it through rather predictable means.
The introduction of the first gladiatrix, which historically didn't happen until 100 years later.
Oh, of course, it happened in reality, and so we're going to put it in the show. That will be the excuse for all of this. It's like, wow, they existed in real life. Spartacus, the series, has always cared about historical accuracy.
We take liberty into changing some of the stuff, but we're still staying with history in a lot of ways.
That's how I've always felt in the show. It's more like watching a documentary about real life.
Ashur changes history. Everything that people know about ancient Rome is up for grabs. We can change everything.
This is the problem with all those kind of excuses. The moment that you don't care about history and you just start changing it, well, now you can't rely on it for the decisions that you shouldn't have made.
I remember my grandmother saying to me, I don't care what they tell you in school.
Spartacus
Was black.
I mean, I am getting Rings of Power vibes from this one.
You have not seen what I've seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not seen what I have seen.
Because there's another element of gladiators that wasn't in the show either. It was basically wrestling. Gladiators were very expensive products. They didn't just enter the arena and get annihilated every time. They do in this show. Anyone walks into the arena, a lot of them aren't coming out. You can wheel someone in a wheelchair into a wrestling ring. That's harder to say than it seems. That isn't going to happen in the Spartacus version of gladiatorial arenas.
Okay, he's partially correct there. Gladiators, the Luduses spent a lot of money to train, equip, and promote gladiators of note. However, where he's wrong is every ludus had disposable gladiators. These were, and we saw this in Spartacus the first season, where Borearty, he went to the town and he just like, I'll pay for this and this and this, but minimum cost because they're toss away. They're for the early shows, the sacrifices, so to speak. So they did have gladiators that didn't return, but their core gladiators, their big gladiators, no, these were quite expensive to house, feed, train, everything. Like they were slaves, but they still incurred quite a bit of cost. And the more successful they were in the arena, the more the cost was returned to the ludus, who took, like 80% of the winnings and gave 20%, or 90% of the winnings and gave 10% to the gladiator. So that's how the luduses survived. So they had these core gladiators that carried with them quite a hefty price to train and, heal, because you're going to get cuts and scrapes and broken bones and everything. And, that's unavoidable in that type of situation. So there was a cost to it, and they were not disposable. But there was also that other group of gladiators that were not as talented as these ones. They were disposable. And that's what their entire lot in life was in Roman society.
The moment your life comes into the equation and it's you or them, you're not sticking to any pre-planned scripts. It's going to be the best man wins. Sure, in real life they can introduce one and they could script it so, she stands a chance. But in the show, I'm going to have this alongside a nice helping of the message. And that is definitely here.
They will never welcome a woman as one of their own.
Yeah, I don't know why this decision was made, whether it came from on high about, we need another tick box. But as ever with this stuff, it's not just the single act which is the problem, it's what it tells me about the show. And so...
Oh, I know why it was made. It was made because of the progressive ideology running rampant in Hollywood right now. That's why it was made. No other reason. They could have easily put another guy, a Gannicus or somebody in that role, and it would have probably been received a hell of a lot better than it's being received. Like this, make no mistake about it, this show is getting panned already. The only reason I'm doing this video is I loved the first Spartacus. But this show is already getting panned for its choices. And like I said, the writer, showrunner is coming out and doing the famous, I'm going to insult the fans and argue with them on Twitter and social media, because that always goes over so well.
Whereas before I might have had gory combat, followed by testing the strength of double-sided sticky tape on a merkin. Now I'm going to have all of that, alongside a lecture about equality.
I did not ask to be in this house, yet I stand equal as any man within it.
It is time to embrace your destiny.
It gets even funnier when Ashur describes what brought him back to the show.
Drew you back to the franchise?
The money.
The big bucks.
The money. These are a lot of money. I'll do it. No, I'm just kidding. The money is good, though. I'm not going to lie.
Look, we all know it's true. I just find it funny when they admit it. It's like walking into a job. Why do you want to work here? Well, you're paying me a wage, aren't you, really? That's the main reason. He does give a better answer afterwards.
To work with Stephen tonight, I'm a big fan of Stephen's writing.
I just prefer the truthful one. One compliment I can give the show is it learned from Gladiator 2, in that just because you put someone from Africa in there doesn't mean you have to have R&B music.
Hands on the mausoleum floor, blood stains the Coliseum door.
Even if they did have them standing as if they're in a music video. Despite my misgivings of the trailer, though, the audience's reaction was with glee. Looks good. Hope it isn't woke. It's woke. Smart move, guys. The black female demographic of Roma-era lovers is absolutely huge. Yes, finally. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. This is so blatant, I'm surprised you went through with it. And the winning My Name is Diversitas Equitas Inclusius. Single mother to a king, and I will have my reparations in this life or the next. So I went off and did a bit more academic research on Wikipedia. People don't like it because it's always biased in one direction, which makes it the perfect source for this. If they don't like it, no one will. And their article on the gladiatrix is a thing of absolute beauty. A gladiatrix.
So if you watched any of my gaming videos, you know Wikipedia drives me absolutely freaking bonkers. It is so filled with errors. It's ridiculous. I've actually had people come into my channel and try to argue with me that Wikipedia is a fact base. It's like, no, it's a user base. They come in, they put whatever spiel they want in, and it gets printed. You can't take Wikipedia as evidence, but we'll see what they have to say. Oh, I can see by this first line he's talking about. Was a female gladiator of Rome like their male counterparts? Gladiatresses fought each other or wild animals to entertain audience? No, they didn't. No, they didn't. This is what drives me nuts about Wikipedia is, no. Like down here, there is no evidence for the existence or training of female gladiators. Thank you. That is true. This is not.
is a female gladiator of Rome. Like their male counterparts, gladiatresses fought each other. They'd get absolutely destroyed and then die. The only reason you would mix the two in combat is if you wanted to humiliate the man in some kind of pre-scripted story. Very little is known about female gladiators, as they were few in number and almost certainly considered an exotic rarity, attested to in only a few inscriptions. They were officially banned as unseemly from 200 AD. There is no evidence for the existence or training of female gladiators in any known gladiator school. Well, they're going to have to edit the page, aren't they? Because I've got some right here.
To victory.
I mean, women were present at schools as wives, partners, followers, maybe even private tutors. Not as gladiators. The reason for this was male gladiators were usually pitted against fighters of similar skill and capacity. The same probably applied to female gladiators, because she'd be dead instantaneously. The best is when it talks about two near-identical gladiators facing each other in a commemorative relief. One is identified as Amazonia, the other as Achillea. But other than the names, neither one is recognizable as male or female. And under the morality section of the page, it says Romans seem to have found the idea of female gladiators novel, entertaining, or downright absurd. There may have been more of them, but there's no evidence for it. While male gladiators were wildly popular and celebrated in art in countless images, there is only one near-certain image of female gladiators. Their appearance is extremely rare and invariably described as unusual, exotic, aberrant, or bizarre.
So that's true. It's like I said at the start. If you've done any Roman history, they weren't even called female gladiators. It was basically sexy boxing, lingerie boxing. They went out there very scantily clad, and usually in the fight, they lost most of that scantily clad clothing to the zeal of the men in the crowd, and then one of them died. It wasn't a skill of contest. It wasn't, it was your literal start of TNA, tits and ass. That's what it was. Women's pro wrestling.
They regarded female gladiators of any class as a symptom of corrupted Roman sensibilities, morals, and womanhood. Welcome to 2025, where corrupted senses of morals leads to this. But no, this is the progressive moral future. Meanwhile, even in ancient times, like, no, you can't do that. That's wrong. It's not to be celebrated. Although the cast have a different take on why they didn't like it. It wasn't about morals. It wasn't about actually respecting people's roles in life and how they shouldn't be subverted and perverted. Oh no. Well, no, now this newfound victimhood offers the opportunity for virtue. And of course, tying her into a character which everybody much prefers.
When he chooses Achillea to be a part of this world with him, it's almost like he sees himself in her. And so together they disrupt, they shocked, they do all of these things.
In Spartacus, Ashur was disabled, and this meant that as a gladiator, he had to find other ways to survive in that world, which he did via political maneuvering, which will no doubt stand him in good stead for this series. It's weird though to go, oh, that reflects Achillea because she's got a minge. Because from the trailer, it doesn't seem like you're going to be like, well, I am weaker than them, I can't beat them in a fight, so I'm going to have to go through political maneuvering. In fact, with the next half of the statement, it gets a lot worse.
That's right, because Ashur gets othered a lot by some of the characters.
He does.
He does what? I'm sorry?
He gets othered. Like, they go, oh, it's that guy.
Yep.
You know?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is the similarity you're trying to say here? He gets othered because he's disabled, and you'd understand that being a woman. What are you saying? I find the most interesting decisions in Hollywood are the ones they know are bad, know will piss people off, and they do it anyway. That's this show.
And I say this, and I'm going to say it again to all the fans, and I know the fans are going to have a fight, you know, a bit of a pushback. It's even better than the original series.
This guy knows he's been...
No, it's not. I can tell you that already. It's not better than the original series.
PR trained that he is going to get pushback.
And I know the fans are going to have a fight, you know, a bit of a pushback.
And he's trying to fend them off, to which, to be fair, he does do to the best of his ability. But we will forever have the question, if you know the fans are not going to like what you're doing, why are you doing it? Your only job was to give them what they wanted, and you're like, well, we can add this in because our paymasters really want us to tick that box, but... well,
That's what amazes me with modern Hollywood, modern gaming studios. They know what we want. They know what the fans want, and yet they won't give it to us. I'm speechless. It's like you've seen it time and time again that this progressive crap doesn't sell. It doesn't work. It's not received well. Whether you agree with it or not, that's just the simple truth, is this stuff doesn't work. And yet Hollywood keeps going back to the same old trope, going, this time it's going to be different. But it's never different.
It's going to piss off all of our paying customers. This is the most unforced error you ever could have possibly have done. And the rest of the trailer looks decent. They just couldn't help themselves though, could they? Because there is things to like from the trailer. If we assume the choreography is just as good, you've got all the gore, and they're finally bringing back eye candy to a TV series. They've also clearly thought about the previous series and some of the strengths and advantages, about how the series went a bit more action, but one of its strengths was the political intrigue element and the balance that they had at the start of the series, which they want to get back to in the House of Ashur.
And it was towards the end, I felt like we went a little more action than we were drama.
When the war started,
Yeah.
We went back to that drama.
He even goes on to talk about the complexity of the characters, the morality of them, how these are not superheroes. Some people are just out for self-interest.
So you're going to start questioning your judgment towards Ashur and many other characters. You're like, wait, is he bad? Oh, wait, no, he's good. No, he's bad. You're constantly questioning this in the season.
But if you're in for self-interest or have hidden goals in this kind of weird political cesspool, there are going to be times where sometimes you're on one side, sometimes on the other, and you never really know where they stand. That can lead to a quality TV show and great drama. It's hard to do, but it is the kind of thing that Spartacus did very well originally.
Because even good, like heroes, they're going to do bad things. Bad people are going to do good things. So it's never black and white in the show.
Of course, the interviewer doesn't quite get it.
Very relative morality.
No, it's more people driven by goals in a situation they're essentially trapped within. In the situation like you're trapped in the show, you're just doing your best you can in the situation. And in that case, morality becomes a bit of a luxury belief. You're not there to be good. You're there to achieve what you want, and different people will draw different lines as to what that's worth and what that's worth doing. That goal could even be as simple as trying to stay alive for as long as possible. But even that, in a world like this, could lead you to do some horrific things.
Life, nobody's like perfect. There's no such thing unless you're Superman.
What I'm hoping for from his statements, though, is it means that they are actually looking at the ideas behind things, the concepts. There'll be themes that might be looked at through the characters. What is your life worth? How far would you go to save somebody you cared about? What would be the moral thing to do if they took away someone you cared about?
Another thing, by the way, for Ashur, there's a softer side you're going to see for Ashur this season.
That's right, we introduce strong, independent, diverse main character, and then turn Ashur into a bitch. No doubt we'll get to see him cry and whine about his feelings all the time.
I just got sudden flashbacks of Geralt in the season 4 is going to be emotional. Let's forget that he had all of his emotions stripped away through the trial of the gases. That doesn't matter. He's going to be emotional. He's going to be in touch with his inner self. He might even shed a tear. Ashur is not a gushy character. Ashur is a conniving character. That is what made Ashur so amazing of a character. He was slimy. He was grimy. He was corrupt. You could not trust him as far as you could throw him, but he was always in the mix. Why would we want to see anything different out of him?
There is true power.
And we're gladiators, we're fierce, we're powerful,
and our eyebrows are on fleek, darling. It's like, gladiators don't describe themselves as fierce. A man is intimidating by his presence. It's the way he acts. He doesn't have to go around and tell everybody that he's really scary. The organizing of hierarchy is something that's done subconsciously. No, we're all fierce, darling, aren't we? Fierce, sassy, and serving absolute
Achillia. Even this name, this beautiful name that's given to her, it's strong, it's fierce, it's powerful.
It's stolen. Just took Achilles and made it female. But again, a difference in how they perceive things. Men would just be strong. She's like, no, my name is strong, powerful, vowels on point.
And when she's introduced into this world, she's like anyone else that is in a world that people don't want them in.
Okay, so firstly, really sounds like you're just projecting the audience's emotions onto the character. Yeah, they did that in She-Hulk, love. That didn't work well either. But the reason why gladiators wouldn't want you there is you'd just be dead in the first fight.
Well, actually, and this is going to be really crude, but historically, gladiators would want her there. They would. She would last about one night in the gladiatorial chambers, and she would be passed around, used up, and discarded. I'm honestly not trying to be sexist here. That is what Roman culture was. That is what gladiatorial culture was. She would have never been given an opportunity to prove herself. They would have viewed her as a piece of meat, and that's it. That was Roman culture back then for slaves. That literally was. And that is something that the original series did so magnificently at portraying, is the difference on how men were treated from male slaves, from the female slaves. This series seems to have said, no, we're in 2025 now, so woman power, girl boss.
People don't want... No, because you're a liability. They go into a battle with you, they're dead. It's a 1v2.
She's trying to figure out who she is. She's being sized up.
Well, that would be very complimentary. You've got the muscle mass of me. Hate to break it to you, love, but I wouldn't last long in a gladiatorial arena either. The difference is, I'm not pretending to be.
Lots of things are happening to her that are very shocking and surprising.
Like winning fights, surviving. Oh no, that's the least surprising thing, because that's exactly what we would expect of an undeserved girl boss getting a role they couldn't achieve.
But I think that fans will really enjoy seeing a strong, powerful female.
She said
Yeah, no, the fans have already said they won't enjoy it. That much has been made crystal clear.
Meme. She said the literal meme.
Who finds strategic ways and strategic prowess in ways that she navigates her way through this world.
She isn't just going to be stronger, more powerful, more fierce than those with dangly bits. She's also a better strategist. I'm desperately trying not to laugh as we look back through the long depths of history to all of those famous tacticians. Look, they were behind the lines. They were safe. They could have been anybody. I mean, they weren't. Could have been. And as long as there's a chance, we can turn it into a television series. I'm being a bit facetious, though. I can kind of get where she's going. What she probably didn't want to say, she's way more manipulative than anybody else. Oh, she's utterly into social manipulation, lies, and slander. She will gaslight and nag you to within an inch of your life. You will beg for mercy when she's finished. Also, that strategic power that I mentioned I found, it's my clunge.
In history, they would often rename slaves.
Good to know you're really breaking down those stereotypes there, Stephen. But then we get a little idea of what the episode layout is.
1 to 3, that's just a tease. 4 to 10, that's where it hits.
10-episode series, but the first 3 are ass. Now you gotta wait for episode 4 before it starts to kick off. That's a really awful way to do a TV series, and I would fix that now. You want people to sit through 3 hours of content so they get to the good? That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, he's not wrong. I believe in hooks in TV shows. If you don't hook me in the first episode, I'm not coming back for the second. It's as simple as that. You have to give me a reason to come back. So if what Nick is actually saying is true, where you have to go 3 episodes before you're drawn into the show, well, I'm sorry. I know for myself, I won't be doing that. And I don't think there's a lot of people out there that'll do that. If you have to wait 3 full hours before anything happens that draws you into the show, I don't see people sitting through that. And that's got nothing to do with the girl boss or the distortion of history or anything. That's just entertainment. If you expect people to sit through 3 weeks or 3 hours, depending how they drop the episodes on Netflix or on Starz, I should say. But if you expect people to sit through 3 full episodes before anything happens to pull you into the show, I don't see people doing that. I see people turning the show off long before that and saying, no, I'm done.
Get good at episode 4, start it at episode 4. You start the TV show where the interesting bit is. This is the rule. The original Spartacus was an absolutely gem of a series that everyone should watch. The show knew exactly what it was. It knew exactly who it was for. And it gave its target demographic, its target market, what they wanted. It wasn't meant for everybody. It wasn't meant for a modern audience. It wasn't meant for the widest possible audience. Although it was probably made for the widest possible audience of people interested in that genre. Everybody knows who's interested in gladiatorial Rome. The people that think of Rome all the time was a living meme. And all it was a load of wives going, I don't think about Rome at all. Okay, why are we making them the center of a gladiatorial fight then? Combine that with other things like, you're gonna see my softer side. And I am concerned that the trailer, even as it is being very generous with what it's showing you. Because if you ignore the strong, independent, powerful main character, then what you have is a good trailer, and it does look a lot like Spartacus. But as I said at the start, that character, not just that it exists, but it shows you that the priorities have changed, that the target market have changed, and that will alter the tone of the show, the themes of the show, the emotions of the show. And there are already signs of it in the interviews. But my favorite part of this entire thing is there is one sentence that can kill your TV show.
But I think that fans will really enjoy seeing a strong, powerful female.
Even at actors have turned down scripts with those words on them, and you thought it was good to say to the world. And that only happens when you've been surrounded in a production that thinks language like that is good. When PR marketing teams have told you that that's what you should say, then we know where the priorities are. We know who the customer base is. We know who's going to get represented in the show.
And we know people are not going to watch it. Like, we know this. She-Hulk, Wheel of Time, Rings of Power. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them, but the whole concept of the girl boss doesn't work for people. And it's not just men. It doesn't work for most women, because that's not how women view themselves either. It's progressive crap. And again, this is what we need to pull out of entertainment, out of gaming. Just get rid of the progressive, real world ideologies. You know, if you're doing a film about Rome, do a film about Rome. If you're doing a film about Britain, do it, or a film about Churchill, do a film about Churchill. You know, like everything has its typecast, whether it's approved by modern day standards or not. So do your show in that typecast. It doesn't mean you approve of that typecast. Like, I don't want to live in ancient Rome. I find it fascinating. Like, ancient Rome is one of the topics, history topics, that I love reading about. Absolutely adore reading about. I don't want to live there, but it's still fascinating to me. So when I see a show based in ancient Rome, I want to see that society. I don't want to see 2025 Los Angeles transported into ancient Rome. I want to see ancient Rome. It's like The Witcher. The Witcher is European folklore. You look at the TV show, it's got nothing to do with Europe. Absolutely nothing to do with Europe at that era that The Witcher is based out of. Like, The Witcher is fiction, but it's still based out of that time era and what was going on in Poland, in this case, in that era. So cast your show to reflect that demographic of that period. It's not an unreasonable demand. It's not an unreasonable ask. Just represent your time. It's like if you went to watch a Cowboys and Indians show, and instead you got hippies and Starbucks. Doesn't really work, does it? Well, it's the same thing. It's like, know your genre that you are basing your show in.
And it isn't me. And if representation is important, then why aren't you representing your audience? And why did you make such a decision as this when you knew you were going to get pushback for it? When you knew, and in your words, you were going to have a fight. Deliberately pissing off your audience is not a strategy. It is not a good thing to do, but it is a good way to burn hundreds of millions of dollars. So at least in that, with your social impact entertainment, I'll have something to laugh about. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe. More videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
So there you have it. That's the take on Spartacus House of Ashur. And I was actually one of the more tame reviews. I watched about 6 or 7 reviews, and his was actually one of the more tame ones. Like, this show is not being received well. And the only reason I'm showing you it is because I love the first Spartacus. But I won't be watching the show until after it's already canceled. And then I'll pick it up. Then I'll take a look at it on, I get Starz for free on my cable package. So that's when I'll watch it. I won't watch it beforehand because I don't want to give it viewership that might be misconstrued as supporting it. But yeah, I got a buddy of mine that I play D&D with, and he calls me a traditionalist. And at first I was sort of like, I don't know if I embrace it now, because that's what I am. Whether it's the source material of books or staying true to the genre of the time frame you're in, that's what I want from these shows. It's that simple. It's just, I am a Rome fanatic. I love Spartacus, and I loved HBO's Rome. I was so bummed out when Rome got canceled, but I understand it because that was about production costs, because every set was built by hand. They weren't using a green screen, which they probably should have. But I love that time era. Again, I don't want to live in that time era, Like, the only way I would want to live in ancient Rome is if I was one of the wealthy people, because the peasants and the peons and the slaves, and they did not have a healthy, good life. They really didn't. But I still find the period fascinating. So when I watch a show based on that period, I want to see that period. And I want to see it represented as that period was. I don't want to see modern day political ideologies injected into those periods because they don't fit. They're not real. They don't fit. And they cheapen the rest of the production, in my opinion. You know, it would be like if they came out with a show on Amazonian warriors. Now, these were female warriors in the Amazon and very renowned. But some idiot decided that we were going to replace all the women with hipsters. Why would I watch that? Seriously, why would I watch that? That's not accurate. That's not interesting. That's just somebody's modern day political agenda being transplanted into a ancient setting. If I'm watching something on an ancient setting, I want to watch something on an ancient setting. I have no doubt that the fight scenes are going to be spectacular in this show because the fight scenes in the first series were spectacular, and it's the same choreographers. Stephen DeKnight is, even though he's being an asshat on social media, he still wrote really compelling fight scenes and everything. So I have no doubt the action in this show is going to be top notch. It's everything else that I question. So yeah, I will see this show, but I will see it after it's had its run and it's been canceled from low ratings. That's when I'll go and I'll watch it. And anyway, that's my react video for this week. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. Takes 1 second to subscribe, costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. Always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage everybody to leave a comment. Are you as picky as I am on getting the facts correct? I guess that's the best way to put it, is it's not personal bias by me. I just want the facts to be correct. Simple as that. Also, leaving a comment really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.